and then I'll be anticipating a third touch of this trend line below me. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to box in this mini rejection we have here. Then I'll put a line there for price identification, which is about 193.136. Price continues lower and breaks below 193.136. I'll catch it on the pullback on a much lower time frame. Stop loss above. Take profits at this trend line that I plotted from the daily time frame. Welcome back, guys. You can see how price played out perfectly. Price broke below here, went back for a retest before selling off. I actually missed this trade, but I took the sell trade on USD JPY, which I'm going to show real soon. So what do we expect going into next week? First of all, I'll start from the weekly time frame. At some point, I was actually expecting to see price go higher, but with what is going on right now, and this is a new month. Happy new month, by the way, guys. You can see that price has closed last month with such an impulsive bearish engulfing candlestick to the downside. So I will expect a continuous move to the downside, at least until price comes into 187.069. All right, so I'll go back to the 4-hour time frame, or I'll go to the daily time frame. So how do we take advantage of this? I'm going to put a mini zone around this area right here. I'm going to put a mini zone around this area right here. So what I would like to see is, let me not put too much lines here. Let me just drag this and place it here. So I would advise that you are patient, because price may want to pull back for a little bit and probably sell from the top here. So I'm still expecting a bearish move. So two areas I'll be expecting a bearish move is either from the top here, which is between 193.426 and 193.136, before we fall to the downside here. Or secondly, the second option will be for price to break below 189.947 without going for that pullback, then break below, then we want to catch it on the pullback on a much lower time frame, like the 15 minutes time frame, and trade into the lower sections here. But let's go to the 4-hour time frame to see clearly. So on the 4-hour time frame, I would advise you should be patient until price breaks below 189.947, like this. Then you want to catch it on the pullback on a much lower time frame. Stop loss above, take profits here at 187.069. All right, so if we break below that, of course we'll continue lower, but I'll be here week in, week out to talk about my next projection. So the next on my list is USD JPY. I'd like to see price break below this trend line and below 153.806. All right, so if price does that, if price continues lower and closes creating a new lower low below, then you want to catch it on the pullback on a much lower time frame, and then bearish targets will be 151.394. Welcome back, guys. So last week I took this USD JPY trade. As you can see, the data and everything is right there on the screenshot. So but I never knew that price was going to continue this low, because a part of me was still kind of bullish on USD JPY, and if you go to the higher time frame, you'll be able to tell why. However, price continued to this point, pull back, then sold off again. Now going into next week, what should I be expecting? With the way we closed, I think price may still continue lower for a little bit. Now if I come to the weekly time frame, you can see the huge bearish engulfing candlestick to the downside. So guys, USD JPY may continue lower, at least until we come into this area as our target. First of all, let me delete the green area. All right, so we may come into this 144.241 as our next target. But how do we take advantage of this on a much lower time frame? I'll start with the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we have this major obvious swing point that we can see from the left here. So I'm just going to box that in and capture this area. Let me extend this to the right a little bit. So what I'd like to see is this. I'd like to see price break below 149.202. All right, 149.202, break below it, catch it on the pullback on a much lower time frame, then trade into the target 144.241. So this is my sell area. These are my sell areas 1, and the second sell area will be above. That's if price initially goes for a pullback into this area of 151.394, then we may sell from there. All right, I don't have any bullish price action on this yet for now, but what I'd like to see is this bearish play out, either price breaking below or retesting above before selling down. All right, so let's be on the lookout for that. So for those that has always been asking about our discount on our mentorship programs, you have 5 days to go as at the time of recording this video. So do yourself a favor, make sure you take opportunity of this 25% Black Friday deal. Registration is still actually on, and if you are going for the more expensive mentorship, which is the live session online mentorship, you can opt for the split payments so that you get to pay twice if paying all at once may prove to be quite expensive. So you can choose to go with the split payment, or you can choose to register now and pay once and for all. Registration is still actually on. So at the end of these 5 days, our price in naira is going to be going up. All right, in dollar is going to remain the same, but in naira is going to be going up. So do yourself a favor and grab this. And this is the last month of the year. You actually don't want to start next year unprepared. 2025 time is going. The economy, if you're in Nigeria like me, the economy is getting tougher and tougher, so you need to get something done about your financial future. So that is that for the mentorship. So let's go back to the analysis. The next on my list is gold. If I go to the daily time frame, I have this trend line below. If you're wondering where the trend line is coming from, we can spot a touch here, some couple of touches here, and I think price may most likely come back into that trend line before we take off. So you can see that price tapped into that zone, but to the upside, came back for a pullback, and looks like it may continue higher. So are we going to continue higher or lower? First of all, let's look at how price is performing on the monthly time frame. So we can see that we closed with a red candle for this month, and price has been so bullish to the upside. So at some point, we know that price is going to want to pull back, at least correct for a little bit before it continues its impulsive move to the upside. But if we go to the weekly time frame also, to be honest, last week I was expecting price to come up to 2,789.059. That didn't happen. Are we going to see that next week? Well, I don't know, but with the stall we're experiencing here, I think price may most likely just continue sideways for a little bit. I think what price my bearish target for now, before we go bullish for now, will be maybe for price to drop into this 2044.461 and 2418.488 region before we continue higher. Remember market structure, right? High, higher low, higher high. We'll be looking for a higher low here before we go on to create a new higher high. At least that's what I'd like to see for now. But how do we take advantage of this on a much lower time frame? Sorry, I have a lot of lines on my chart. I actually have these lines just for analysis sake. Meanwhile, last week I took a buy here because last week I was actually bullish minded. The price actually was more bearish last week, but that didn't stop me from taking advantage of the short move to the upside here, and this was the profit I made on your screen. So going into next week, I think price is creating a bearish flag, because if you look at the weekly time frame, you can tell that obviously we close with a bearish candle. So I'll go back to the 4-hour time frame. So I think price is creating something like a bearish flag pattern for now, something like this and something like this. All right, so you can see the flagpole and then the flag pattern here. So what should I be expecting going into next week? If price is committed to trading lower, then let's wait for price to break below this trend line, and not just this lower trend line, but create a new lower low below this huge candlestick here. All right, around 2634.664 area. Then wait for the pullback, which you're now going to switch to a much lower time frame, stop loss above, then take profit back down to this trend line. Should I zoom out? This trend line is coming from the daily time frame actually, so you can see first touch, second touch, third touch. So fourth touch, I'll be expecting that sell to the downside. All right, so this is what I'm looking at on gold going into next week. But for bullish move, then I'll advise you should be patient enough for price to create a significant break out of this 2664.979 area. Then you want to catch it on the pullback, and then your target will be 2713.880. So those are my bullish and bearish scenarios on gold. The next on my list is DXY. So if we go for that initial pullback on DXY, maybe I would like to see it retest this trend line, the outer part of this trend line. Welcome back, guys. So you can see price took his time before dropping into that outer part of that trend line. But with the way we closed for last week, I will still be expecting a bullish month on DXY, but I think for the early part of next month, we are going to be bearish. All right. So you can see the bearish engulfing candle. This is the first time in a long time. This is the first time since the 30th of September. This is the 1st of December, right? That we are closing with any bearish candle, and not just any type of bearish candle. It is a bearish engulfing candle, as you can see, right? And it is happening at a strong resistance area. All right, so I will still be expecting a further decline in price on the US dollar, but not for too long. I think the US dollar is actually targeting 105.168. All right, 105.168. So let's see how that plays out. So when price comes, I want to see how price reacts. But going into next week, I'm expecting that initial bearish move into 105.168. So before we either continue higher, or maybe price may break below that and still make its way down to between 104.290 and 104.036. So price may still drop into there before we take off. So these are where I'm expecting bullish continuation on the US dollar going into next month. So the next on my list is GBP USD. But if price continues lower, our GBP next target will be this trend line below. Where is that trend line coming from? Let me squeeze out my chart so that you see properly. Look at it. Historically, we've touched it once, twice, 3 times. And if price continues lower, that will be the next target. So GBP USD, you can see how price came into our target, into the trend line, and price took off. All right, meanwhile, let's see how we closed for last week. We closed with such an impulsive move with a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern to the upside. So let's go to the daily time frame and put things into perspective. We can see that after dropping, we got this dodgy candlestick and price continued higher. Now looking at this daily time frame, I think price is targeting 1.28520, 1.28520, which is around here. But how do you take advantage of this on the 4-hour time frame? I think on the 4-hour time frame, we are good to go. We are good to go, actually, right? But if you've not gotten in, well, except if you want to wait for price to maybe push down a little bit lower before you get in, that's fine. But stop loss should be below here. Target should be 1.28520. All right. And the last on my list for this week is Euro USD. So Euro USD, guys, last week I actually wanted to see price retest here and sell off. If you remember, I told you that I'm not interested in any form of bullish price action on Euro USD. If that happens, then that would be a blank week for me, a dormant week for me on Euro USD. But you can see that price opened with a gap up. Price actually gapped above where we're even expecting to sell from, so which means no trade, right? So price pulled up, came back, retested before taking off, and it is beginning to create something like a higher low, new higher high, new higher low. So if price on Euro USD continues higher, then actually what I would like to see will be for price to break out of this area here. Let me move this line up a little bit. So what's the value of that line? The value of that line is 1.06055. All right, so let's be patient. Let's be patient enough for price to break above that zone. Then you want to catch it on the pullback on a much lower time frame, like the 15 minutes time frame or 30 minutes time frame or 1 hour. Then our target will be 1.06842. So that will be our bullish target. All right, I think going into next week, price will be bullish, but we have to be patient enough for price to break above 1.06055 before we make our way into 1.06842. So that will be all for this week. Once again, if you want to take advantage of our 25% ongoing discount that is going to end in the next 5 or 4 days, depending on when you are watching this video, do yourself a favor, take advantage of it now, because after this price goes up immediately. All right, so thanks for tuning in. I wish you a successful trading week. Happy new month, guys. I also wish you a successful trading month. Actually, towards the middle of the month, it's popular knowledge that price may be slowing down, but for me, I'll keep trading as long as I see my trading opportunities. So once again, I wish you a successful trading month. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.